Quero
Good afternoon
dar uma boa tarde a
to
todas,
you all.
uma boa tarde a todos, cumprimentar todos os presentes,
I'd like to greet you all from Brazil and Africa. João Bosco, president of the Institute, the Brazil Africa Institute. José Graziano, my master, FAO General Director, Minister against fighting hunger in Brazil. Luiz Lessa, president of the Amazon Bank. The diplomatic representatives of Africa and the Arab Emirates, and all diplomats present here. So it's an honor to be at this forum. My perception is that this synergy between Brazil and Africa is a synergy that we carry in our bodies and in our culture. A Brazilian diplomat used to say that what separates us, Brazil, from Africa is a river called the Atlantic. So we are really linked to Africa, and Brazil is really linked to Africa's history. And Brazil's history is deeply connected and linked to Africa's history. I'd like to talk about our panel, the topic of our panel, sustainable agriculture, that is related to food sovereignty. And I'd like to apologize José Graziano because he's my master. So I feel that I am at a doctor's degree assessment evaluation committee. So I'm so sorry for any mistakes, and take notes of what I have to or what I have to improve myself. But the biggest challenge for Brazil is the challenge of food sovereignty. We are we have 213 million people facing deep social inequality, and hunger has always been a political topic, a topic that is related to our history. And this topic of hunger has been seen in Lula's administration as a huge challenge, a challenge that the president is obsessed in addressing. So this is his third term. And in this third term of Lula's administration, plus one and a half 1.5 year, 1.5 period of administration from President Dilma, and what took 11 years to take Brazil out of the hunger map in the previous decade. In 2 years and a half, governmental policies could take Brazil out of the hunger map again. So there was an increase of the average income, the wages of workers has grown beyond the national average. While the national average had a growth of 11%, among the poorest, the growth of income was around 30%. So we had a huge growth of income that happened first due to the increase of minimum wage, and on the other hand, it happened due to the income transfer programs, more specifically one called Bolsa Familia, that was increased. It's now reaching children up to 5 years old, receiving 150 reals, and young people up to 18 years of age getting some extra 50 reals. And those policies made possible to increase the income, and together with the income raise, we have a number of policies related to food that Brazil has adopted. The boldest one is the school food program, or school meals program. We're investing more than $1 billion in this program per year. We have another policy that is a policy of acquiring food. You can purchase food from the family agriculture, from communities of indigenous people, people coming from Africa, and you can donate those with poor communities facing food insecurity. So we have around $500 million invested so far. So this means 1.5 billion dollars invested in food security. So policy focused on institutional purchases of the armies from the universities that also transfer resources to this kind of purchase. Only when it comes to food in schools and partially institutional food purchases are done from family agriculture. So these resources create a big encouragement to the production of food and poor communities, and it includes people in the economic sector, so they can sell their production to the government, and the government provide meals to schools and to communities facing food insecurity. So thus we have a virtual cycle in Brazil where we produce more food, allowing you to promote a bigger access of food by the poorer communities. Brazil in 2 years and a half has left the hunger map, but we still have great concern with those that are still facing food insecurity, which means that this work has to continue being done. We cannot stop it because of the current results we have, but we have to be encouraged by current results so that we can get even better results, that is, to ensure food security to all Brazilians. The phenomenon of food in Brazil is one that many times, due to their income, are not eating fresh food from family agriculture, and they started eating ultra-processed food, which makes us, in addition to having food insecurity, to have public health issues, or very severe ones, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, and other diseases due to poor eating. So which are the pillars of our agriculture in Brazil? The first pillar is financing. The government finances agriculture in Brazil. Scaling up subsidizes according to the size of the farmer. If they are a family producer, hiring just one person, income is up to 6%, while the average interest rate is 15%. So in this category, There are even lower income rates for those who produce food that goes to the people's houses. The interest rate is 3%. For mechanization, the interest rate is 2%, and they have 10 years to pay it. Micro loans for poorer families is 0.5%. So food production will feed those families, and so that they can sell their production in the market, a variety of food that the Brazilian people will eat. So financing is a mechanism that we are adopting, strongly adopting, to foster production. The average farmer has pays interest rates up to 8% and bigger ones 15%. The problem of Brazilian farmers is that their culture uh, in their portfolio, exports are very important. Brazil makes a lot of money through exporting grains, beef, processed beef, coffee. Brazil has a strong support to exports. Medium and small farmers are more focused on the domestic consumption market in Brazil. And for the three segments, the topic of financing is very important. Another program we have is of public purchases that I mentioned before, and I will not deep dive on that. I mentioned it, which is school, uh, meals, and institutional purchases. Third, we have a program related to agrarian reform, distributing financing and lands and support for the development of those lands, together with technical assistance where we want to improve things. And now we are focused on the creation of rural extension technical assistance. Due to climate change, there is there are some issues in agricultural production that requires technical assistance. So Brazil, due to technological changes, also requires technical assistance, and we are focused on this technical assistance program. I'd like to mention a program that shall be launched in the next few days. I don't know if that is secret, because who launches programs is not a minister, but the president of of Brazil. But we're going to launch a program on digital technical assistance in a partnership of the Ministry of Family Agriculture, that has a national agency of technical assistance with Embrapa. So all the knowledge that comes from Embrapa will migrate to this course that will be given in several production areas for technical assistance and rural extension. I mentioned to President Lula that I think this program could initially be launched with Portuguese-speaking countries in Africa, because considering that this will be broadcasted in Portuguese, this show could be broadcasted for Portuguese-speaking countries, but we can also translate those courses into English, French, allowing or maybe Arabic as well, that is in the north of Africa, talking with the north of Africa. Thus, we could have a very good connection with Africa. So here we are trying to produce a restorative agriculture, coming out from a chemical based agriculture to a biological based agriculture. We are strongly organized to make this transition with a financing program with lower interest rates for agroecology, the encouragement to use biologicals, and the Brazilian agriculture is focused on two restorative programs. First, degraded pasture. We have almost the same amount of land for production as well as pasture that is degraded by pasture. So we are now launching a program of pasture recovery, and thus we will have a better food for cattle, and at the same time we will have a better use of carbon sequestration.
So this program is based on soil treatment, and this treatment, when you test the soil and then you treat it appropriately, and so we have a product that's very important. Um, Now in the next stage we are focused on soil, which is to rebuild the forest in degraded areas with productive forests. So we have financing from the Amazon Fund, and this financing has become a selection of 80 different areas that were part of this, and the resources from the Amazon Fund will be used in what we call productive forests. The Amazon, there's a calculation that says that the acai, the cocoa, and the palm oil from the Amazon have results that are 10 times more than cattle, beef, and soy. So we can have the economic results for these farmers that will be able to really change their income in the Amazon region. So this program, these are trees that will take 3 or 4 years to become fruitful, but we can start out with a consortium-based production, maybe with cassava, with bananas, watermelon, passion fruit, and then while these other trees are growing and until they become fruitful, we can have other crops that are being grown there. And so we can reforest these degraded areas of the Amazon forest. So this really makes our eyes shine, and for the farmers, it's also very encouraging. Professor Graziano, we visited a area with President Lula near Belém, on the river Guará, and we accompanied him at visiting this rural area there along the riverbank. And President Lula, he was telling us how we learned how the acai is harvested, and what they do is they tie a type of a rope that is made from a plant there from the forest, and they use that to climb up the tree. And yesterday we tested a machine. It's like a robot, so it climbs up the tree and picks all the acai berries and then comes back down. So we are, distributing these technologies, offering financing for the farmers to acquire this technology, and also forming cooperatives to organize these different farmers, to give them training, technical assistance, to mechanize and automate some of the farming processes, and to be able to harvest and process some of the fruits and plants from the Amazon, like acai, palm tree, and others that are found in the forest. So this is a very interesting program focused on the productive forest. And so we want to spread this program around Brazil. And we are going to get this financing from businesses like Petrobras, Companhia Vale do Rio Doce, from finance funds like the ones that the Justice Ministry of Justice has, also related to environmental issues. So I have spoken to many different countries in Latin America and also in Africa in relation to thinking about small farmers as a way to leverage the inclusion of these small farmers into the formal economic market, and also as a way to combat poverty. A very modest movement, but that is spreading around Brazil. They're called the productive backyards. It's focused on women, and women have taken on a very relevant role in agriculture. And at the same time, these productive backyards or gardens usually have the area of 1 hectare, and then we have a small garden there with different varieties, maybe 30 or 40 different types of plants or fruits, vegetables that are not only for the consumption of that local community, but also, for example, the production of protein with chickens being raised there, or we have sheep, fish that are being cultivated there. We have corn, different leafy vegetables and fruits, so that can not only, as I said, feed that local community, but also help to generate income. So we've been working on this program in partnership with Embrapa. And the main goal, or the first goal of this program, is to put women, poor women who live in rural areas, at the forefront as the main players of this program. And in our visit with President Lula yesterday, we noticed that there was a majority of women there who were in that area. So we're trying to bring women and include them in this agricultural production. A second area we are focused on is our youth. We are trying to encourage the youth to stay in the field in rural areas, but they will only stay if there is technology there, if they will have results that are more attractive than going to the large cities and urban centers. So I think the best educational model for the fields are the ones that are called families, agricultural families, so with an alternating program. So we also need to offer access to technology, to internet, to drones, to different cooperatives, to the automation. That is what is going to keep our youth in these rural areas and working in the agricultural sector. So that's why we have been working, and we are available to connect with the African countries who are here. President Lula has invited many ministers and dignitaries from other countries. We had over 40 of them here with us in Brasilia for a meeting. And we visited some areas near Brasilia, and we went to the city of Petrolina, in the state of Bahia, to see the irrigated fields near the São Francisco River in that region. In agriculture, we have also focused on the genetic improvement of our cattle. We have a good genetic strain for our cattle in Brazil, also for dairy cattle, and we are working on this program with embryos, working directly with embryos, because The farmer then can have cattle that is the top, the best type of cattle. And so this is another area where we are integrating with Africa. So also in this area of family agriculture, family farms. So representing President Lula and on behalf of our president, I have to say that we are indebted to the African continent, and we are very willing to have this connection, to have this exchange of ideas, and to offer the best that we have for you. So I was in Belém until yesterday, but I said I want to go to the Brazil Africa Forum because it's a very relevant moment. And as you know, we have the COP30 coming up, and Brazil is going to address the requirements for the countries who are the most pollutant countries and what they should pay for what the other countries who are suffering from climate change. So, in assuming the responsibility for the pollution and the problems they have caused. So, even though we have many difficult problems to solve, including the absence of one of the main pollutant countries in this climate conference in Belém, but Brazil in Bakur at the conference, the previous one, we assumed some huge challenges of trying to reduce our carbon emissions. So Brazil did more than what it had committed to doing, and we are hoping to create this climate, this feeling of going beyond during this year's COP30. So I once again greet all of you who are here at this event. I know that there are many Brazilian entrepreneurs who are working in Africa, our Itamaraty, and Apex. It's the other organism that works there, has tried to support these Brazilian businesses in Africa. So I would like to say that our doors are already open, and we hope that we can overcome all these challenges like hunger and food insecurity. And we hope for a world where we are able to guarantee quality nutrition for everyone. President Lula was recently in Rome, and I had the honor of being part of his committee there. And during that meeting in Rome, the Global Alliance for Fighting Hunger and Poverty was launched. President Lula was there to launch that, and the interim president, Mohamed Yunus, was there, and he is facing elections in his country, but Brazil was part of that movement also. So we are here willing to help you in any way we can. So to dialogue with you. So thank you very much. It's great to be here.